Welcome back, Kaiju fans, and today Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle, or the second in the trilogy of anime for the Godzilla franchise, came out. It is July 18th, 2018, and, well, I'm just going to give my thoughts and my review on this film. So, to put this in perspective, going into this film I had very low expectations. From what I read about the film, from what other people's reactions were for the screenings in Japan, the theatrical release, I had very low expectations because what I heard is that this film is basically the same thing as the first one without the stuff we were getting hyped up for. So, with that out of the way, I was not as disappointed as I thought I was going to be. To put it in perspective, the films are very similar, the first and second one, plot-wise, the way things play out, all that kind of stuff. The second one seems to do it in a more exciting way, and the story seems to be a bit more enjoyable and easier to follow. Probably because there's less explanation of like the universe that this is set up in. There's no space travel, we're all already on Earth, we already know what's going on, we already know why Godzilla is doing the things he's doing. So it leaves more time for the film to focus on what's actually happening and doing a better job explaining the story. There are its problems, though. Like the fact that it is basically the same film as the first one with different animations. So, what I mean by that, the first film is set up to learn how to kill a Godzilla. They go through the motion and they kill Godzilla, and then Earth shows up. This film is just that same application, slightly altered to fight Godzilla Earth, literally to a T, with minor drama thrown in. So, we have the introduction of the new race of humanoids, the they're a weird name, okay. They're the ancient people. If I pulled up the name, I'd be able to tell you it's not important, honestly, because they're not really that important. It seemed like they were going to be, but they really weren't. The only purpose that they served in the entire film was to introduce nanometal, which led the humans, the Exif, and the Bila Saludo to finding its origin, which is Mechagodzilla. Here's where the problem with this movie lies. A lot of people were led to believe that this film would be a Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla film set in the future with a new super advanced Mechagodzilla versus the biggest Godzilla ever. And that was a cool idea. Everyone was super excited for that. That happens in this film. Just not the way you would expect it to. And what I mean by that is the Mechagodzilla we were expecting is different. So what ends up happening is Mechagodzilla was destroyed prior to the first film happening, the initial siege of Earth, and Mechagodzilla was destroyed. The only thing that's left is the head of Mechagodzilla, which has survived all this time and spent the past 20,000 years retooling the minerals in the Earth and creating nanometal, which is the metal that it's made out of, and it can shape it in its own desired image, basically out of thin air. It isn't really explained why that's possible, but that's what it can do. So it spent the past 20,000 years redeveloping its creation base plus building an entirely new city exclusively out of nanometal. So Mechagodzilla is not a robot version of Godzilla. Mechagodzilla is an AI that is controlling an entire city that is basically its body that it can grow appendages or structures from on a whim for whatever programmable purpose that it is given command by the Bilisaladu or the spiky aliens. So, Mechagodzilla is in this film. He's just not a giant robot dinosaur. He is a giant city being controlled by what was once a giant robot dinosaur. So it's really kind of weird. And you can't say Mechagodzilla's not in this film because he is. He's just not what we were expecting. So, there. That's probably where the main point of this movie, the main problem with it that everyone's going to have, is that everyone wanted to see Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and we do. It's just Godzilla is fighting a city, and that city is Mechagodzilla. Okay, weird. What else is important? Well, the new race of humans that are introduced really don't serve a purpose at all besides leading them to Mechagodzilla City, and it is also discovered that they are not, in fact, descendants of humanity. They are an entirely new creation that are spawns of a bug species. And in the film, they continuously talk about their god as an egg, and it is never explained what their god is, never shown what this egg is. Literally, the entirety that we see of their civilization is some caves underground and then a large cave painting of, like, an omega symbol, or whatever. It looks like that. Literally nothing else. So, they're bug people. They're not descendants of humans. Okay, weird. What is their god? Well, I mean, if we went with the most generic answer possible, it's probably some kind of tease at a moth or larva egg. But do we know that? No. Is it shown? No. Is there any hints of that whatsoever? The only thing is that they're bug people. They could literally be Megaguirus spawn for all we know. Even though that's, you know, not likely in comparison to Mothra spawn, but you get the point. There's literally no clarification, no explanation, no in-depth, like, analysis. It's all just, they're bug people, hooray! Okay, cool. Is that all the purpose they're going to serve in this film? Yes. So they didn't serve any purpose? Yes. Thank you for introducing them as a plot point. That was useless. Thanks, cool. Moving on. There isn't a lot of Godzilla in this movie. There might be less than the previous film, and it's all condensed in the final act, basically, because he's just asleep for most of the film. That's kind of annoying. I'm not a huge fan of that. At least the parts that he is in, he's doing cool stuff, and he's being a badass, and he's wrecking some face. He's wrecking Mechagodzilla City. And his powers are OP and shown off again, so that's cool too. So what ends up happening? Well, they try to just trap Godzilla, blow up his fins, and put EMPs inside of him. Literally the same exact plot that they did from the first film, slightly modified for a larger Godzilla. Now they're trying to throw him in a giant pit of Mechagodzilla, cover him in Mechagodzilla, which is liquid nanometal, blow up his fin, and then shoot a harpoon that is an EMP into him. Cool. They go through the motions of doing that, and it doesn't work because this Godzilla is OP and nothing can kill him, basically. That's literally, like, it. That was this film. Minus some, like, air combat that is nearly identical to the first film of them flying around on the hoverbike, shooting them with the hoverbikes. Replace that with the mech suit with bird wings, known as the Vulture, that people thought was Mechagodzilla if they were blind for some reason. But, yeah. Literally, it's the same film that's, like, slightly upgraded that makes it a little bit more intense. It's so bizarre that they thought that this would be, like, a good middle movie. Because it's just like, wow, it's the same movie again. Cool. Not a huge fan. So, it doesn't work. The Bilisaludo betray the humans and the Exif, and they try to ascend by combining themselves with Mechagodzilla City by transforming themselves into metal. They try to force it upon the other species to continue fighting Godzilla. The other species don't want to kill themselves, and Haruo, the main character, and Metaphes realize that this is basically just them trying... If they kill Godzilla, then the nanometal is going to cover the entire planet, and it's not going to be any different than Godzilla and his subspecies covering the entire planet as it is right now. They're just going to replace biological Godzilla and biological plant metal with non-biological metal and non-biological Godzilla. So they're like, yeah, let's not do that because that doesn't help the situation at all. So Haruo kills the last of the Bilisaladu, and Mechagodzilla City gets completely destroyed by Godzilla, blows up everything. It's pretty cool. That's an intense moment. And Yuki, right? Haruo's new girlfriend in the film. It's the girl from the first film, but she has the hots for Haruo now. She dies. Spoiler alert. She dies to the nanometal trying to possess her body and her rejecting it. So Haruo is not happy, and he screams Darth Vader like, and that's really the end of the film. There was about 2 minutes of the entire film that was setting up what is coming, and that is basically Metaphy's explaining that his planet was destroyed by monsters as well, and that the god incarnate of his planet is more powerful than Godzilla, and he's so afraid of it being a bad omen that he won't tell anybody the name of it except for Haruo, and we don't hear it in the film, but the post-credit scene is that same exact segment unmuted, and it's Ghidorah, which we all knew. Ghidorah is coming. Hopefully that'll save this trilogy and make the final movie really cool, because they've already used the same story twice, and they've exhausted and destroyed all the resources for them to try to use the same exact plan a third time. So thankfully we can assume that the third film will be nothing like the first and second, because that plot has been used twice. All the materials in the universe for them to do that again are gone. The Blissalatu are dead, and Ghidorah is coming? Question mark. Well, he is. We can assume that just from the teaser poster literally being Ghidorah for the third film, and the name Star Eater, or Eater of Stars. So we'll finally get to see a kaiju fight in this universe, even though technically Godzilla fighting the city was a kaiju fight because the city was a giant monster, which is super weird, and I don't think anybody's ever going to get over that, but this is okay as a middle movie. It could have been better because it could have not been the exact same thing as the first one, so there's that. I don't know. I enjoyed this one more than I enjoyed the first one, because this is literally just like a better version of the first film. It's a little bit more entertaining. So now watching the first film will probably never be enjoyable again, so good job Polygon and Toho Animation, you really messed up there. But that's it. The movie is adequate. It has some intense scenes, some exciting scenes, and is better than the first film, but falls flat on its ass because it's literally the first film. But that's just my opinion. Go ahead and watch the movie. It's out now on Netflix. Tell me what you think or thought of it if you already watched it. It's been out for a few hours now, so yeah. I'm feeling underwhelmed by it, but I was expecting that, so it's okay. Peace out. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I appreciate it a lot. As always, liking, commenting, and sharing really helps on my channel. And make sure you're subscribed if you want to stay up to date on the latest kaiju news and crisp reviews.